What if the most dangerous kind of exhaustion is the one no one can see? Not the kind that follows a sleepless night. Not the kind that disappears after a weekend off. I'm talking about the exhaustion that lingers even after 8 hours of rest. The kind that settles somewhere beneath your skin. You wake up, your body moves, your schedule continues, but something inside you feels unbearably heavy. You try to explain it, but there's no single event to blame. No dramatic collapse. No headline-worthy tragedy. Just a slow accumulation of small disappointments, unspoken frustrations, silent sacrifices, and expectations you've been carrying for years. 1,000 tiny weights that over time became unbearable. This is the exhaustion people rarely talk about. Many who experience it don't actually want to disappear. They don't want life to end. They simply want the noise to stop. The endless comparisons, the pressure to succeed, the silent competition, the obligation to appear strong, the daily performance of "I'm fine" when you are anything but. Psychologists often describe this state as emotional exhaustion, a condition that develops when emotional demands consistently exceed emotional resources. It isn't weakness, it's depletion. It happens when you've been giving far more than you've been receiving for far too long. What makes it even more complicated is that it's invisible. From the outside, you might look functional. You show up to work, you respond to messages, you smile in photos. You complete your responsibilities, but internally, everything feels muted. Joy feels distant, like a language you once spoke fluently but have now forgotten, and this isn't just emotional. It's biological. Under prolonged stress, the brain shifts into survival mode. Reward pathways become less responsive. Motivation chemicals, such as dopamine, don't fire with the same intensity. Activities that once brought excitement begin to feel neutral. Over time, even meaningful milestones can feel strangely hollow. So when someone says, "I'm just tired," it might not mean they need a nap. It might mean their nervous system has been running a marathon without a finish line. The tragedy is that we live in a culture that glorifies endurance. You are praised for pushing through pain. You are admired for staying busy. You are rewarded for productivity, not peace. Rest is often treated like a luxury you must earn rather than a necessity you deserve. And so you keep going. You tell yourself you'll slow down after the next achievement, after the next milestone, after you've proven yourself. But the list never ends. There is always something else to accomplish, something else to fix, someone else to impress. Eventually, your spirit begins to whisper what your schedule refuses to acknowledge. I cannot keep doing this. There is another psychological concept that often appears during this phase, anhedonia. It refers to the reduced ability to feel pleasure. This isn't dramatic sadness, it's emptiness. It's living in grayscale. Even good news feels flat. Even laughter feels distant. Even music loses its impact. It's not that you don't care. It's that caring has become too expensive. People in this state often begin to withdraw. Social interactions feel draining. Conversations feel like effort. Small talk feels like lifting a heavy weight. They cancel plans not because they dislike others, but because their emotional reserves are nearly empty. To outsiders, it might look like they are giving up. In reality, they are protecting themselves. When everything feels overwhelming, solitude can feel like safety. Silence can feel like relief. Isolation becomes a temporary shelter from emotional overload. This kind of fatigue is cumulative. Every time you said, "I'm okay," when you weren't. Every time you swallowed frustration to avoid conflict. Every time you chose strength over honesty. Each moment added another invisible brick to the wall you now struggle to carry. But there's another layer beneath exhaustion: meaning. When life becomes repetitive without purpose, fatigue deepens. Wake up, work, scroll, sleep, repeat, days blur together. You begin asking quiet questions. What's the point? Why does this feel so heavy? These questions are not signs of failure. They are signs of awakening. When you ask, "What's the point?" you are not rejecting life. You are searching for meaning. You are asking for a reason to stay engaged. You are asking for alignment. Austrian psychiatrist Viktor Frankl, who endured unimaginable suffering during World War II, proposed a powerful idea. Humans can endure immense hardship if they have a clear sense of purpose. According to his philosophy, meaning acts as psychological fuel. Without it, even comfortable lives can feel unbearable. This is where exhaustion transforms from an enemy into a messenger. Perhaps the fatigue is not telling you that you are broken. Perhaps it is telling you that something in your life no longer fits who you are becoming. Maybe you have outgrown a role, a routine, a version of yourself that once ensured survival but no longer allows growth. There is a profound difference between being exhausted because nothing matters and being exhausted because you are evolving. The first feels hopeless. The second feels uncomfortable but directional. Energy does not come only from sleep and nutrition. It also comes from alignment. When your daily actions reflect your values, energy flows more naturally. When they contradict your values, even small tasks feel draining. You can work long hours on something meaningful and feel fulfilled. You can spend a short time on something misaligned and feel depleted. The body follows the soul. So, what can someone do when they feel tired of existing? Not a dramatic reinvention, not a sudden escape, not a reckless decision. Instead, begin with honesty. Notice what consistently drains you. Notice what quietly restores you. Pay attention to where you are performing versus where you are authentic. Awareness is the first form of healing. There is something powerful about admitting, even privately, I am tired. The moment you name your exhaustion, it loses some of its control. It becomes something you can respond to rather than something that controls you. Rest then becomes more than sleep. It becomes emotional repair. It becomes permission to pause without guilt. It becomes choosing peace over endless proving. Modern life often trains us to optimize everything, our time, our productivity, our image. But it rarely teaches us to feel, to sit with discomfort without rushing to fix it, to experience sadness without labeling it as weakness, to experience joy without fearing its disappearance. Sometimes the way back to vitality is not through more control, but through surrender. Allowing yourself to be imperfect. Allowing yourself to be uncertain. Allowing yourself to rest without earning it first. Research in positive psychology suggests that experiences of awe, even small ones, can reduce burnout and increase life satisfaction. Awe does not require extraordinary events. It can be found in a sunset, a powerful song, a quiet prayer, the vastness of the night sky, or a deeply honest conversation. These moments remind you that existence is larger than your stress. Exhaustion can strip life down to essentials. It forces you to confront what truly matters. It removes illusions of constant achievement and replaces them with a deeper question. What kind of life actually feels true to me? And here's the paradox. Those who have known deep emotional fatigue often become the most compassionate individuals. They understand unspoken pain. They recognize forced smiles. They value authenticity. They speak gently. They listen closely. Their exhaustion has expanded their empathy. So perhaps being tired of existing is not a sign of failure. Perhaps it is a signal that you are ready to live more consciously. There will still be difficult days. The weight may return from time to time. Doubt will reappear. But now you will recognize it not as the end, but as information. Instead of asking, "What's wrong with me?" you might begin asking, "What is this feeling trying to teach me?" And that shift, that subtle redirection changes everything. Because the truth is, life does not demand constant performance. It asks for presence, it asks for alignment, it asks for honesty. When you stop chasing endless approval and start choosing internal peace, something quiet begins to heal. Colors seem warmer. Music feels closer, conversations feel more real. Not because your circumstances are perfect, but because you are no longer pretending. The exhaustion that once felt like a dead end becomes a turning point. And maybe the most important realization is this. Being tired of existing does not mean you failed at life. It may mean you finally paused long enough to question how you want to live it. But here's the question that remains, and it might change everything if you dare to answer it honestly. If your exhaustion is a compass pointing toward a life that is more aligned, more truthful, more meaningful, what is it quietly asking you to leave behind?